If you've watched this channel more than once, you're probably already very well aware of the fact that I, Wyatt Claypool, do not like British Columbia Premier David Eby or his BC NDP party. They are far left progressive activists who, think that the solution to things like drug addiction in society is to give drug addicts more drugs. I do not trust them to run a lemonade stand, and I hope that BC voters end up throwing them out on October 19th. But on this channel, I also like to talk about political marketing and communications. I like to see how politicians and parties present themselves. And the only thing that the BC NDP and David Eby may be worse at than public policy is political communications. These people are horrifyingly, painfully inauthentic. And I just want to play two clips to just start you off right now to show you how bad it is. This is David Eby at an event in Surrey in which they have two videos that start off basically the same of him trying to sound energized and, with the people and talking about how much momentum they have. It's hard to listen to.
Surrey, hello, it's good to see you. It's so good to see you.
Surrey, it's so good to see you. Like, who approved of him talking like this? Who edited this together? I want to get to this one at the start. He does a similar sort of weird camp counselor type introduction.
Guys, I feel the momentum. Surrey, do you feel the momentum?
Guys, I feel the momentum. Do you feel the momentum? You're an incumbent government who's failing in the polls right now when you have all of the political advantages this election. It's pretty easy in Canada to be reelected as an incumbent government. The only way that you lose as an incumbent government is that you've screwed up everything. Usually you can sort of muddle your way through a couple of elections after you are first elected. And even Justin Trudeau shows you that it's not that difficult, that you can do a bad job and still come out with a minority government. The BC NDP are likely to lose to the BC Conservatives, who only got 2% of the vote in the 2020 election. And it's because they suck on policy and they do stuff like this. It's just this inauthentic talking down to people. Hey guys, are you ready to move BC forward? No, not with you at least, because you're terrible at your job and you act like everybody's 5 years old. This is all of the BC NDP's marketing, is talking to people as if they're dumb. And now I just want to go into the lying sort of, part of this show, where I want to talk about all the lying that the BC NDP has been doing recently. I don't know why they think this is going to be a big vote getter. For context, there is about 315,000 people in British Columbia who have PAL licenses, possession and acquisition licenses for firearms, either PAL or RPAL, the restricted version of the PAL. That's a lot of voters. I'm not sure if you know that. There's a lot of people who have PAL licenses, most of those being people who can vote, because I think that you can technically have a PAL below the age of 18, but the vast majority of them are going to be people 18 and above. And if you've seen the British Columbia riding map in terms of where parties are projected to be winning or losing, there's a lot of NDP ridings with significant rural areas in them. There's ridings that are almost fully rural with some small towns that the NDP have a chance at winning re-election in, that having their MLA still get across the finish line. And why would you slap at gun owners? Because right now the NDP is on this big tear against the Conservatives over this ridiculous notion that the Conservatives are in favor of gangs. I don't know what this even is. This is even trying to get at.
And their families send them out at the beginning of their shift. As police officers, they understand that they're taking on risk. It's a hard job. They're putting themselves on the line. Why would we ever make it harder for those families? For those
also notice the weird small pauses for drama during this. It's hard for him to go out those words because he just cares about those families so much, even though he's the one giving drugs to people on the streets, making police's job way harder. He's the one who used to sue the police back in the day at the Pivot Legal Society. He wrote a book on how to sue the police. He's just full of garbage.
Police officers to do their job, to respond to calls, make it more dangerous. Nobody wants, except for apparently John Rustad, to import lax US-style handgun and semi-automatic gun rules that make us all less safe. We don't want that gun violence in British Columbia.
All he had to do in this clip was just add him, just burst out crying, just start weeping at like the thing that you're just making up. John Rustad never said he didn't want to crack down on illegal weapons. Of course he does. He just released a plan today to basically put more BC sheriffs on the streets, increase police presence around high crime areas, which is absolutely what's needed. You need to have police officers around so people couldn't even commission a crime simply because they would get stopped immediately. We just need more police on the streets, and we can pass provincial laws to keep repeat offenders, both violent and non-violent, in prison. Because just because something's not a violent offense doesn't mean you're okay with someone repeatedly doing it, like shoplifters, people like vandalizing property, all that kind of stuff. If someone keeps doing it, you eventually do need to lock them up and keep them locked up for a while. And so his attack on Rustad on this is, one, again, inauthentic. If you know what the NDP is like, if you know what the NDP has been like for the last couple of decades, they've always been the soft on crime party. And him trying to take on the tough on crime stance on this particular issue just makes him look, he just looks like a liar. He's not being himself. Like, here's another post that went along with that video. It says, John Rustad says he won't enforce federal laws that keep dangerous assault weapons out of the hands of gangsters and dangerous criminals, importing lax U.S.-style gun rules that make us all less safe. Going down, that was from George. This video from George Anderson is really funny if you actually know that he just had a big screw up at a debate where he started talking down to the Green Party candidate, saying he'd talk slower to her because she's from Alberta. Another one here. Stop John Rustad from letting gangs carry assault weapons. This one that got heavily ratioed, 700 comments and only 146 likes. I actually have a reply underneath this post that had like 350 likes, heavily ratioing them. It says, again, under a John Rustad government, abusers, gang members, and traffickers would be allowed to carry assault weapons unchecked. Stop John Rustad from letting gangs carry assault weapons. Okay. You already probably know why this is wrong. John Rustad said he would not expend provincial policing resources helping Justin Trudeau and the federal government go after law-abiding gun owners because they happen to own a arbitrarily banned model of rifle, shotgun, handgun, what have you. Obviously, he's not saying that, well, if a gang has one of those weapons illegally smuggled over the border, I don't care about that. That's what he wants more resources to go towards, and is saying that driving down country roads to go after a farmer for owning the wrong type of rifle that he has never used wrongly, never would, and also has done like all the correct licensing and whatnot to get that gun, that is a waste of provincial resources. There's no reason to ban it in the first place. Trudeau just wanted to seem tough on guns after the Nova Scotia mass shooting, which was done through the use of illegally smuggled guns. It's ridiculous what they're trying to get at here. And I think the ratio was very apt on that post. And I don't even know why they think this is going to get them votes or something like that. Again, there's 315,000 PAL license holders. And as long as the provincial government was not assisting the federal government in going after law-abiding gun owners, a lot of those PAL holders had no reason to not vote NDP, other than the fact that all their other policy is crazy. But I mean, in terms of that one category of person doesn't technically have anything specifically against the provincial government. I've even had people commenting under one of my last videos on BC when I first mentioned this problem that I'm a gun owner and I was considering voting NDP, and I'm totally not doing it anymore because they're basically saying that they're going to help Trudeau take away any guns I have that are arbitrarily banned. Even Trudeau's not even trying to take away the guns at the moment because he realized that the gun confiscation plan, especially in light of Bill C-5, which lets basically gangsters get off easy on carrying actual illegally possessed guns, that all these that the current confiscation program pulls like polio. Nobody is in favor of this. But this has been like, I want to see if I can find any other posts here, but it's just been bad. The NDP campaign has just been bad from the perspective that it's trying to get progressives on board for their campaign that they already have. The BC NDP doing all of these advertisements and statements against Chip Wilson, the billionaire founder of Lululemon, a company that, let's just say, sells products that I consider more left-wing coded. Lululemon was always a brand that if you were shopping there, you're a little bit more likely to be center left than you are to be on the right. You know, more like no guys wearing Lululemon to go like working out or something like that. Or maybe you are, I don't know. I don't go to the gym. No surprise there. But that's a company whose owner, in effect, should be maybe possibly leaning a little bit more towards a center-left option because it might represent the values of the company that he started. But no, the NDP is attacking him because he called them communists, because a lot of them are communists. Let's be very clear. In Alberta, the Alberta NDP in that provincial election, a party that's to the right of the BC NDP, was running multiple communist candidates. And I mean like people posting Mao on their Facebook timelines. Mao quotes, big pictures of Mao, not ironically just flat out posting it because they like him. The BC NDP has a lot of people who just don't believe in private property or free markets or capitalism for that matter. They are not people that like the party going after business owners harder and saying, well, I'm like David Eby saying, I'm proud that I raised Chip Wilson's property taxes or his taxes in general. He mentioned property taxes. Like, I raised the taxes on his $80 million home, even though I think that's still a municipal responsibility fully. Like, they just keep putting a hat on a hat. I want the BC NDP to lose, but it's almost frustrating to watch them make every single obvious mistake. I guess that's good because I want John Rustad to become the premier and I want the BC Conservatives to have a big majority. Everything the BC NDP does is alienating of people that they need the votes of in order to win the election. Anyways, well, I guess this is a good time for me to transition to a story that I technically covered yesterday, and that was Creek Pete, this TikToker who was spreading conspiracy theories that all of the polling in Canada is being rigged in favor of conservatives. And his evidence was David Coletto once spoke at the Heritage Foundation and did polling at Sun News, even though I believe David Coletto is actually a little bit more center-left as a person, and that Angus Reid is personally a conservative, and that means all the polling is, just trying to get Justin Trudeau. And I will congratulate Max Fawcett here, who I know does not like me at all, and it is because he himself is a big media progressive. But I do like seeing that he did call out the people tweeting about Pete Creek, fawningly because he's saying the correct liberal thing. And Max Fawcett here says, because the whole title of Creek Pete's video is, or at least the quote from it is, I think polls are BS, and I'll tell you why. And then he goes over how he thinks there's all these conservatives in the polling industry just trying to make the liberals look bad. Max here says, sorry, progressives, this isn't the way. Frank Graves at Ecos is very clearly not a fan of Polyev. His polls show basically the same thing as Abacus and Angus Reid Institute. Ditto Main Street, ditto Nanos, ditto Leger. And then you have GT Lem here, who is a massive liberal cheerleader online saying gaslighting and propaganda is real, Max Fawcett. And then Max Fawcett says, as are conspiracy theories, which I find very entertaining to watch these very hard left liberal activists actually being told by another liberal progressive who's just a bit more rational than them that they're just completely out on the lake without a paddle. And then you have Creek Pete here then responding to Max Fawcett saying, as are conspiracy theories. And he says, what exactly is the conspiracy, Max? Are you saying with certainty that polls cannot be manipulated, especially online polls? I guess we are to ignore bot farms. Bot farms, a lot of these polls are done through IVR in terms of you get a call on a phone and it gets you to press buttons for who you're voting for. And you can't really use a bot farm to mess with polls because it's randomly selected who gets polls, unless everyone who gets selected is secretly running a bot farm. I don't know how this actually would work. I guess, do I want to see more replies? What is the security apparatus to block manipulation like this in online polls? Many in the industry have raised concerns about poll manipulation, including Angus himself, as well as Frank and Nick. Are you saying with certainty that owners of these companies have no impact? That like saying Rupert Murdoch has no say on his media outlets push out. What? How is polling like a media outlet? Okay, I don't need to read the rest of that. Obviously, he's wrong. But it's at least funny in how he's wrong. Guys, were the polls manipulating people so hard that the Liberals lost in Toronto St. Paul? Were the polls so manipulated that the Bloc Québécois, because I guess maybe the media is in favor of the Bloc Québécois, that they won the Montreal by-election? The Conservatives gained in that recent Manitoba by-election massively. They usually get like 25% in that riding. They went up to like 40. That's just because that's because the polls reflect the public. Every time I hear people say, you can't trust the polls are, trying to rig things in favor of this or that person. No, it might just be that your guy's not that popular. Are there polling firms that manipulate results? Sure. They're also not very well respected, and everyone will point them out to you right away. Or at least they'll say that their records aren't very good. There's like more legitimate claims of poll manipulation in the US, since there's so much money that goes into politics that there is, in theory, a reason to pay a pollster who maybe isn't even manipulating polls, but you know that they have a more pro-Democrat or pro-Republican sample that they tend to draw from, that you want their numbers to be out there because it gives your guy momentum. At the end of the day, you can't short-circuit public opinion. People vote for what they want for a very simple lesson at the end of this video. People vote for what they want If they didn't vote for you, it's because they didn't want you. A lesson to those who are running the PPC. I can even agree with a lot of PPC policy recommendations or policy stances. But in general, people aren't voting for you because they don't want you. And that could be for policy reasons, for trust reasons, for the fact that you didn't show that you were working hard enough during the election to earn their vote. There's a lot of reasons for why people vote for the way they do, and very little of it is from manipulation. Could you be manipulated in terms of you believe things that are not quite right because of media narratives? Sure, but usually the people who are putting out those media narratives believe them. There's actually not that many people in politics who are just straight up liars, who are lying about everything. Even Justin Trudeau, as scary as it sounds, believes the things that he says for the most part. He'll fibs to try and get out of tight corners, but he is a true believer in what he does. That's what makes him so scary, is that he could be failing this hard and thinking that it's just another $5 billion until his failing programs are going to turn around and we're going to be in utopia. That's what makes people like this awful. If they were rational, they would probably just start doing the right thing rather than lying, because doing the right thing has a strange way of making you more popular than just lying about why you're doing the wrong thing. Anyways, rant over. If you guys want to support this show, you can donate down in the description to the Give, Send, Go legal fund that we're running. I also have it pinned in the comments. If you want to know what that's all about, go to the Give, Send, Go itself. I don't think people want to keep hearing me repeat what that lawsuit's about. Nonsensical defamation suit against us. Read it in the Give, Send, Go link. But I guess I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Suggest video topics down below. I usually give it a quick skim. Even if I don't get back to you personally, I do try and read them. Have a good one, everyone.